We've got the first look at the new Batmobile, and here are the 9 details we found. There's one thing that always changes with every iteration of Batman on the big screen.
The Batsuit.
There are 2 things that always change with every iteration of Batman on the big screen.
The Batsuit and the Batcave.
There are several things that always change with every iteration of Batman on the big screen.
The actor.
Yes, that too. Anyway, chief among all of these changes and why you clicked this video, it's the Batmobile. Now, throughout the ages of Batman, we've gotten our fair share of iconic Batmobiles. Adam West drove around in that sick ride from the 60s. Michael Keaton's Batcar needed a grappling hook to take corners. The weird cut-up stylings of the Kilmer and Clooney versions, as well as the hyper-militaristic types from the Dark Knight trilogy and Batfleck. So fans have obviously been on the edge of their seats, champing at the bit to find out what's in store for them with our Bats. And on Wednesday this week, their prayers were answered when the Batman director Matt Reeves tweeted out the first official look at the brand new Batmobile, and honestly, it looks pretty badass. Essentially, the filmmakers have taken a muscle car, spray painted it black, and added a goddamn rocket engine to the back of it. Is Batman gonna play Rocket League? I mean, probably eventually, but let's save that for the sequel. Fans are extremely on board for this. I mean, yeah, look, some fans were upset when Ben Affleck stepped away from the role of Batman, but all of that negativity appears to be disappearing as we see more and more of Matt Reeves' vision for the Batman. So now that we have our first look at the Batmobile, what details can we surmise from it? Well, surprisingly, quite a few, so let's break it down. First of all, these images definitely play into the fact that this film is going to be about a Batman near the beginning of his career, which is something that we've investigated in a past episode of Nerdist News. This key detail is actually the windshield wipers. I know, it sounds stupid, but think about it. This is just a real car that's been heavily modified into a crime-fighting machine, and sometimes things get wet out there. You don't know. It's very similar to the 60s Batmobile. This is a working hero's car, a working hero with a couple billion in the bank, but still a working hero. While other versions of the Batmobile focused on style over substance, we're looking at you, Tim Burton, this version feels like Bruce Wayne just threw a couple $1 million at a muscle car, like a Dodge Challenger or something, called up his buddy Exhibit, took it down to West Coast Customs, and pimped his ride. Is that a Boomer reference? I don't care. Maybe in 10 years, this Batman's gonna use something like we saw Batfleck or Clooney use, but for now, he just has a regular car that he can use to build something unique from the ground up. And as for the interior, Corinthian leather as far as the eye can see. No, I don't know. Despite seemingly having a couple of screens and gauges inside of it, it seems to be pretty standard stuff. We've got a passenger seat for when he has to drop Robin off at soccer practice, and it looks like it's been reinforced with a roll bar, which leads us to our next detail. It has a rocket engine strapped to the back of it. I mean, come on, look at the back. It's a goddamn rocket. Anyway, it's something that almost every single on-screen Batmobile has had since the beginning of time, but still hard not to get hyped when you see a literal rocket engine on a car. But it's also worth noting, despite this vehicle having its engine in the rear, the hood of this car seems to have air intake vents in it, meaning there might be a second engine in this bad boy. Unless, of course, all that car real estate's taken up by the gadgets that you know Batman's hiding somewhere within it. Or maybe it's just where he keeps criminals and they need a little air hole so they can breathe before he drops them off at the prisons. Now, of course, these images shared by Matt Reeves don't just give us a look at the Batmobile, it also gave us an official glimpse at the Batsuit. And it's got something that we've all been wondering about: a cape. It wasn't featured in that behind the scenes footage we saw of Batman riding the other vehicle we're gonna see him use, a motorcycle. So why are we seeing this look at the Batmobile now? Well, we'd wager a guess it's because we're gonna see it out in the wild pretty soon, and Warner Brothers wants to control how this information gets released. If you remember, we got our first new look at the Batsuit just about a week before they started filming with it in public, which means we're probably gonna see some behind the scenes footage from the Batmobile on set in Glasgow in the near future. And Scottish people, I heard you the first time. I'm sorry if I butchered your city's name. I've only been to Edinburgh. Did I say that one right? I sure hope so. I'm sorry. All in all, this Batmobile is telling us that we're getting a very grounded version of the Caped Crusader. It's going to be this dark mystery movie about the world's greatest detective being the world's greatest detective. And if you're anything like us, and I'm assuming that you are, you can't wait to see the first trailer for the Batman before it comes out in June 2021. But what do you folks think? Do you like this muscle car version of the Batmobile? Is he gonna get his cape caught in the door, or is Batman just gonna jump into it Dukes of Hazzard style? Also, which version of the Batmobile was your favorite?
Chicks dig the car.
Let's discuss. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, why not give us a like and subscribe? And if you want to get notified every time we go live with a new show or drop a new video, please feel free to mash that little bell. That way you can be up to date on all the latest theories, news, and rumors in the pop culture world.